Hi, I'm Carolyn Stevens. Welcome to the Leader's Secret to Influencing Without Alienating. You're in the right place if you're a leader who's sick of feeling stressed about a difficult situation, tired of the frustration of not knowing how to handle a demanding person, or feeling like a chicken because you've been avoiding stepping up to a hurdle that you know as a leader you really should deal with. In this and the next video, you're going to get an invaluable head start with knowing how to deal with these sorts of situations so that you're unruffled and proud of who you are as a leader when it's time to deal with an awkward situation. And you no longer flinch when you need to have a conversation with a sensitive or thorny person. Now, that's got to be good for your stress levels, your performance reviews, and for your leadership career. At the end of the second video, I'll tell you how you can get more support so you can confidently deal with your roadblocks. Roadblocks that show up particularly at work, but also in other parts of your life. But for now, in this video, we're going to dig into the first secret, and then in video 2, you'll apply what we've been talking about to your currently frustrating real-life situations. That's when you'll notice that the texture of your previously prickly conversation starts to change. And you'll feel like you stop beating your head against a brick wall. By the way, we sometimes need to take time to save time. What we're talking about in these videos, etc., will definitely save you time, not just now, but forever. You'll no longer waste time trying to muster the courage to deal with a difficult situation. You'll get things handled quickly. The tools and techniques that you'll learn about in these programs will help you influence others with skill and ease, saving you from having to go back and have another go at it. And just one other thing, you're going to be sleeping better when you have a proven approach to getting awkward situations sorted. Now, that's going to help with your productivity the next day, isn't it? Before we get started though, I want to tell you quickly about why I became passionate about helping leaders courageously deal with tough issues. For more than 25 years, I've been coaching leaders to be stronger leaders and accelerate their careers. So often, the number one skill that leaders needed to develop was, you guessed it, influencing. So many leaders were inhibiting their success and their careers because they weren't influentially dealing with the roadblocks that inevitably crop up in a leader's world. That's why I gave birth to the Leader's Secret to Influencing Without Alienating and the Mother program, Deal with Your Roadblocks. So let's get started. What we're going to do in the rest of this video is lay an essential foundation stone, a foundation stone that's vital to you habituating the thinking and behaviours of a highly influential leader. I highly recommend that you download the Leader's Secret to Influencing Without Alienating manual and guidebook and make notes as we go. Also, you'll want to stop the video at times to answer questions or to study the content in more detail. First up, I want you to think about your situation. Where do you want to be more influential? Think about one or two specific situations. What potential cost might there be if you're not influential in those situations? Also, are there likely costs if you alienate your other party because you don't handle the situation well? And on the flip side of the coin, what will the benefits be? What will show up when you're competent and confident as you influence without alienating? We're going to differentiate 4 possible behaviours: submissive, defensive, aggressive, and assertive. Take a look at how they're defined in the 2x2 matrix. That'll help you answer the questions that I'm about to ask you. It's important to look at the 2 continuums on which this matrix is based: direct versus indirect, and hostile versus responsive. You can see that aggressive behaviour is direct and hostile. Defensive behaviour is hostile but indirect. Submissive behaviour is indirect and responsive. And assertive behaviour is our ideal, responsive and direct. As our case study situation, I've chosen an everyday domestic scenario that most people can relate to. Here's the situation that we need to deal with. James has just come home from work, tired, frustrated, and irritating after a long day. He walks in and immediately turns the television on and sits down to watch it. Kate, his wife, has been alone in the house all day with their 2 preschool children. She's feeling neglected and unsupported. She wants to talk with James about her day and how she's feeling. She also wants to get his thoughts on what he would like for dinner. By the way, she suspects that James will snap at her if she doesn't get dinner organised pretty quickly.
James, I wonder if you'd like to have dinner in the park across the road. Maybe cold meat and salad, only if you wouldn't mind though. It's just that the children need to get out of the house. I guess we could have it here if you want to. Maybe it would be better if we eat here.
Which one of the 4 behaviours do you think Kate is primarily demonstrating? Submissive, defensive, aggressive, or assertive? If you chose submissive, you're correct. Well done. Remember our 2x2 matrix? Submissive behaviour is indirect and responsive. It's the correct answer because Kate was circuitous. She was indirect and vague and slow to come to the point. Examples of Kate's circuitous communication were, James, I wonder if you would like. If she were direct, she would have said something like, James, I would like blah blah blah. How do you feel about that? Perhaps we could was avoiding stating her opinion. She could have said something like, cold meat and salad sounds good to me. What do you think? Hiding. Kate internalized her thoughts and feelings without disclosing them. She didn't disclose that she was feeling neglected and unsupported. The problem is, when you hide your feelings, sooner or later they'll accumulate and erupt, sometimes in response to some small, unrelated matter. Furthermore, after you've erupted, you feel guilty about your emotional outburst, and that will have you returning to your normal submissive behavior. Manipulative. She said one thing in order to get another. Examples of where Kate was manipulative are, it's just that the children need to get out of the house, which was an attempt to use the children to get what she wanted. Maybe it would be better if we eat here was probably an attempt to have James suggest that the park would be a good idea. Yielding. She was appeasing, deferring, and dependent. Examples of where Kate was yielding are, only if you wouldn't mind, and I guess we could eat here if you want to. By the way, in the second video, I'll be asking you some questions about submissive behavior. For example, how do you feel when one of your team members is being submissive with you? Meanwhile, let's check on the other 3 types of behaviors.
James, I don't know what you want to do about dinner.
Which one of these 4 behaviors do you think Kate was demonstrating? Submissive, defensive, aggressive, or assertive? If you chose defensive, you're correct. Good work. Defensive behavior is indirect and hostile. Not really charming, is it? Kate was defensive because she was internal. She was non-disclosing and conflict averse. Kate didn't give James any information about what she thought or what she wanted. Nor did she make any attempt to elicit from James what he wanted. Emotionally withdrawn. Kate didn't indicate how she felt. She pretended things were fine. Not only did Kate not tell James what she was thinking or what she wanted, she didn't indicate how she felt either. We know that she felt neglected and unsupported, but it's unlikely that James had any clue about those feelings. Stubborn. Kate's not negotiable stance best demonstrates the defensive person's normal demeanour. When a person's behaving defensively, they have a my mind's made up and I'm not going to tell you what I'm thinking unless I'm really pushed to approach. Covertly hostile. Kate wasn't solution-oriented. Essentially, she passed the problem to James to resolve. She didn't make any attempt to have a solution-oriented conversation with James. Her self-focused and lack of concern about James's needs demonstrated covert hostility. In preparation for the next video, you might want to begin to think about the likely consequences of a leader demonstrating this defensive behaviour.
James, I'm sick of being stuck in the house all day. But what would you care? As I said yesterday, you should have married a television set. You're actually very selfish. Obviously, you need to talk with me soon if you want a say in what we have for dinner.
Which one of these 4 behaviours do you think Kate is demonstrating? Submissive, defensive, aggressive, or assertive? If you chose aggressive, you're right. That's direct yet hostile behaviour. Kate's aggressive behaviour can be summed up with these 4 qualities. Blunt. Kate was direct and to the point in a straightforward, forthright fashion. Examples of her bluntness were, "You should have married a television set," and "You're very selfish." Dogmatic. She was inflexible with her opinions and took a superior stance. Kate spoke as if her opinions were facts, as demonstrated by the use of phrases, "You should," "obviously," and "you need to." They were actually just her opinions that she voiced as if they were facts. Abusive. Kate's tension was turned outwards and she spoke in a blaming, accusatory way. Attempting to suppress feelings like anger and hurt often result in a very high emotional temperature and often in emotional outbursts. Examples of Kate being abusive are, "What would you care?" and "You're very selfish." Win-lose. Her approach had a win-lose or win I don't care attitude behind it. Kate focused only on her needs. She only considered what would be a win for her and disregarded the impact of her needs on James and what he wanted. What about in preparation for the second video, you consider when, as a leader, your behaviour could tip into the aggressive quadrant?
James, I'm feeling unsupported right now and I'd like to talk with you about dinner and about my day. I'm sorry to interrupt your television program and I want to be sure that we have dinner before it gets too late. How soon can we talk?
Which one of these 4 behaviours do you think Kate is demonstrating? Submissive, defensive, aggressive, or assertive? Well, no prize for the correct answer here. It was assertive. Kate was direct and responsive. Her directness was demonstrated by her being clear and honest with her thoughts and feelings. She communicated without any hidden agenda. She also clearly communicated how she felt about the situation. Solution-oriented. Kate's focus was on what needed to be done to resolve the situation. She spoke about her need to talk about what to organise for dinner before it got too late. Win-win oriented. She asked James how soon he could talk so that dinner could be organised. What would be a win for him? Because Kate asked a question to determine James's need, she asked how soon he could talk. We can see that she was considering an outcome that would work for both of them. She took a collaborative stance and avoided imposing her solution on James. Persistent. Kate didn't back off this potentially difficult situation. Let's assume that she wasn't going to back off if she got pushback from James too. She was prepared to be persistently direct, solution-oriented, and win-win oriented. And that brings us to the leader's secret I promised I'd share. Habituate direct and responsive assertive behaviour. It's a vital component of impressive, highly influential leadership. And that's what we're going to be working on in the second video, replacing submissive, defensive, and aggressive behaviours with direct and responsive assertive behaviours. To recap, before we move to the next video, you've been investing time so that you'll save time, and habituating direct and responsive assertive behaviour is going to save you time. If you haven't already, be sure to check out the Leader's Secret to Influencing Without Alienating manual and guidebook before you leap into the second video. It'll help cement what we've already covered, which was a lot for one session. The next video is going to make what we covered in this video come alive. See you there.